You do it, girl.
Hello and welcome back to the Health and Harmony Girls podcast. We are still there in the middle of our self-care series,
Literally.
right smack bang in the middle. And today we are going to speak a bit about work and how you can practice self-care in your working environment. So I think it's very important because work is something that you wouldn't necessarily, once again, think of as something that you could do some self-care in. So yeah, I think this is going to be an important one.
Yeah, and I think with work and self-care, it's so important because a lot of us burn ourselves out because we don't set any self-care routines or boundaries. And boundaries is probably going to be the theme word for this whole series.
Yes.
In our work environment. And that obviously leads to burnout and stress and anxiety and being overworked and underpaid.
Overworked and underpaid, bitches.
So yeah, we thought it would just be an interesting one to touch on because I don't think anyone's ever thought about bringing self-care into the workplace.
No, I definitely have not.
Yeah, so I mean, if you think about it logically, it's just bringing in the same kind of things that we have spoken about and a little bit extra, because obviously work's in a completely different environment than any other social or like self-care environment you'll find yourself in, but bringing those things into the workplace just to ensure that you are happier, that you are less stressed than normal, and yeah, that you just be like treating yourself with respect, rest,
higher levels of productivity, all the things.
Okay, so the first thing is, well, my phone's vibrating like a little bitch here. Time management and productivity. So I mean, it's weird to think of self-care and work in any aspect, but this is so true. Time management becomes so important because I think a lot of us procrastinate.
Me.
I'm like, what?
I'm a big procrastinator.
I love my hammock life, and that really eats into my working hours. I'm so blessed. I can say that. I sound like such a brat. But yeah, I think if you can learn to just manage your time, whether it's writing a schedule and sticking to it, or writing a to-do list and making sure that you get those things done in the day, and just making sure that you are dedicating enough time to actually being productive in the office, it's going to translate to a lot less stress and to you feeling a lot more accomplished, which at the end of the day is like the aim of self-care, is like boosting yourself up, boosting your morale, boosting your energy, boosting your confidence. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything you want to add on to that little point.
I think just an example of how you can time manage if you don't currently, and something that works for, I know it works for Rox, works for me, works for a lot of people, is to time block. A lot of people do it. It really does work. It puts your mind at a little bit more at ease for the day, that you've at least organized your day into how you're going to do it. Like, I know a lot of people may have 5 tasks to do. So you sit there and you ponder, and then you go between one to the next, and then you're doing 5 minutes on this thing. And then you're stressing about how you still have 40 other things to do for the day, where you can sit down, write down your times, or in your diary, you can block out, right, for these 3 hours, I'm only working on this. For this hour, I'm having a break. For the next 4 hours after that, I'm only working on this. And that will make your productivity a lot better. And obviously you'll feel a lot better because your time is managed well.
Yeah. And even when you're saying that now, I'm like, I've actually noticed lately that I've got back into my multitasking habit, which does nothing for me, because I will literally start on one project and like do 5 million other ones. And by the end, I'm like, I haven't even touched the thing I was meant to do. So really just writing out a list, I think, is such a good way to like defog the brain and know exactly what you want to accomplish within a specific amount of time. And then, like B said, time blocking, so that you are only working on one task at a time, so that you are putting all your focus and all your energy into that specific task and not getting distracted or like burning yourself out before you actually accomplish that task. And also, I think it's so important when it comes to this type of topic is to recognize when you are the most productive. If you are that person who can get shit done first thing in the morning when you get to the office, or when you go start working if you work for yourself, then get all the top priority tasks and the ones that aren't necessarily the most fun done in that period of time, because then you open yourself up for the rest of the time to mess around and to do the creative, more fun jobs that don't really have a like specific deadline to them.
Yes, agreed.
Okay, point two.
Point two is work-life balance. So obviously this is very important when it comes to self-care with work, because you have to be able to have a balance between work and life. Just, I mean, it's pretty much in the word work-life balance, but you have to be able to not be the person, and I get it's quite a touchy subject because I understand that people do have goals to work towards, and everyone has that like hustle mentality that we always talk about, but it's also just as important to look after yourself, look after your relationships, look after your home as much as you need to get towards your goals. So like we said, time block, time manage, work for however many hours in the day, but make sure you're putting in the same effort into your resting. So, I mean, you're not going to have the same amounts of hours of rest in the day as you do for work, but you have to block out also time for yourself. You have to be able to have a life with your family, with your partner, with your dogs, with yourself, whatever your relationships are outside of work. You have to be able to feed those relationships just as much as you are feeding into your goals and your success and your work. So very important to find that work-life balance. Also, I know a lot of people that go head on into their work and end up working like 7 days a week. They have no time for anyone, not even for themselves. And I found that when you have that unorderly balance between work and life, that's when you start to also become very anxious, become very withdrawn, become very I'd also say sometimes socially anxious. Like some people literally just don't want to go out because all they do is work all the time. You don't have those social interactions and relationships. So it's very important to have a balance. Also for your mental health, just to have a break and to be able to be like, you know what, today I want to go karting with my best friend. Like go kart for an hour and then carry on working afterwards and you'll feel great, but just have that balance.
Yeah, I think so many people like feel guilt around not like hustling 24/7. And again, it's conditioning. It's just how we've been brought up to think that we have to work hard to be successful. But there is a huge shift towards recognizing that you don't have to kill yourself in order to be successful. But I think it's so important to just take a step back and evaluate, like, am I neglecting every other part of my life because I'm working so hard? And also, like, think about it. The more you work and overwork yourself, the more tired and less efficient you're going to be when you are working these extremely long, ridiculous hours.
Ungodly hours.
So in taking that rest or that time away from work, even though you're going to feel guilty in the beginning because it takes a lot of deconditioning and inner work to feel fun resting and not working all the time, you are going to be so much more productive when you do work.
Yes.
Like 100% more productive. So it might seem counterproductive in the beginning, taking time off work or just taking an hour every day to really go like decompress, de-stress, just have time for yourself where you're not doing anything except just like calming and relaxing the fuck down. But in the long term, it's really going to count towards your productivity and probably make you more productive. So yeah, it sounds like
you literally come back with like a fresh
yeah, just take
you've just had a shower and you now are coming back like fresh again and ready to go. That's basically it.
Yeah.
But the next topic is work boundaries and communication with co-workers and boss. So, I mean, we won't go too much into this because we speak about it all the time, but it's super important to be able to have those boundaries in the workplace. Like we were saying now, I'm not saying put your foot down and say to your boss, like, I'm not fucking working the last 3 hours of the day. It just doesn't work for me. No, I'm not saying do that. But if you are someone who's working in a job where you have a certain list of criteria that you have to fulfill in order to do your job well, and you now have someone that's left the company and your boss is now piling another job onto you, you need to be able to have the courage to go to your boss and be like, either I need to be paid more for what I'm doing, or I can't do what I'm doing. I don't have the time to be able to do both jobs well. You need to just set those boundaries in your workplace and also with your co-workers. Your co-working relationships in your office are also super important, and people need to know what your boundaries are. Like we were saying earlier, if someone irritates you or is inappropriate in the office, how are they ever going to know that what they are saying is irritating you if you don't bring it to the foreground? So you have to be able to voice your boundaries in the workplace with your boss, with your co-workers, with your whoever it is around you.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about communication in the last episode, but I think communication gets left behind so much in the workplace because there's that, firstly, if it's with your boss, there's that fear. There's just this like conditioned fear with us that you do not like speak your mind with your boss. And that's like, it can lead to so many missed opportunities. I mean, people work in companies for years and years and never get promoted, and they don't know why, because they've been working so hard. Has that person ever communicated with their boss that I'm really trying to impress you so I can get a motivation,
a promotion,
or maybe saying to your boss, listen, these are the amount of hours I've been putting in. This is my progress. Here's my statistics, whatever it is, whatever job you do, and however it's progressed and managed, analyzed, going to your boss and being like, I really do feel that I need a raise. Like I can tell you now, like 8 times out of 10, the boss actually be chill and be like, you know what, you're right. I didn't notice because I have 100 employees. So communication can really change your entire environment at work. And you're saying with employees, I mean, co-workers also, like sometimes we just don't make the effort to converse with our co-workers. I cannot remember that word. Laura, you can see I've been working on by myself for too long.
They are called your co-workers, right? And they work around you in the office.
Such a strange concept. But I think like really putting some effort into building relationships with your co-workers can make your work environment so much more enjoyable. And then it goes back to like a lot of things you spoke about in the last episode as well, like having someone to rely on, having someone you can be vulnerable with, or you can ask for help. Like these are things we never do in the workplace that can make our lives so much easier and really take that additional stress off of our lives. So communication in all aspects with all people in your work environment can really contribute to your self-care and your mental health and your stress level reduction.
Really. And I feel like it's also so important to remember that your boss is never looking at you and going, you know what, let me see who in the office is working the most amount of hours. Like, let me see who's working for a solid 24 hours. They're looking at the work that you're bringing them, whatever it may be, and how well you're doing it. So like we were saying, taking that time and resting and putting up those boundaries and being able to only do however much work you can do and not being put under pressure to do somebody else's job as well will allow you to be the most productive in your own job. And that's what will stand out to the people that are above you, your managers and your bosses. Not the fact that you work for 24 hours a day, but that the work that you do is 100% true to you and true to the company or to the business, and it's beneficial to everyone. So think about that.
The next point is positive workplace. And I kind of feel like we touched on it in terms of like just making a bit of an effort to get to know your co-workers and to be more friendly with them and be a little bit more invested in their lives. Because I think we keep such these like strict relationships or non-relationships with our co-workers because like we kind of build resentment towards the whole work environment. But if you can make your work environment a positive place for you to be, that you actually look forward to going to, even if you hate your job, but you love your tea breaks with like
Sandy from the finance department.
Then like at least you've got something in your day that is like something to look forward to, and that really just aids towards your mental health.
And I also think when I look at positive workplace, I also think about like what you surround yourself with and what does your desk look like? Like, what does your working area look like? Is it a mess? Like, do you have files and paperwork all piled all over your desk? Or do you have pictures of your loved ones and your goals and things that make you happy? Surround yourself with your happiest moments or things that you enjoy to do. Anything that's going to make you feel positive during the day is what you should surround yourself with on your desk. Like, what is your screensaver? Are you allowed to, if you're allowed to change your screensaver at work, like make your everything around you just the most positive that it can be, that if you do find yourself in a negative headspace or having a negative day, you have positive things around you that will be able to get you through.
I love that.
Okay, the next one is more learning. So Rox is the I would say, the poster goal for always learning, but never ever stop learning. I mean, that's also a way of having self-care in the workplace. I think also that's what I was actually going to mention about the positive workplace, but this also ties in with more learning. And if you're surrounding yourself with people at the office, and like Rox was saying, without neglecting co-working relationships, I find that, I mean, back in the day when I used to work in the office, there are so many different people from different walks of life that are usually in an office space that you wouldn't, outside of work, have the opportunity to converse with on such a deep level and to create friendships with those people. Everyone usually comes from different areas. People have different living situations, different families, different personalities. It's people that you've never spoken to in your life before. So having those relationships and friendships and being able to learn more about other people's lives and like how they live their lives is also fascinating. So that's one way of learning, but also obviously just to keep on learning in your job. So expanding your knowledge all the time is going to be beneficial for you in your workplace, for yourself, and obviously the way that it makes you feel.
Yeah, I think with learning, it's so important. I mean, if you think about like the human psyche, is that like we only start to get old when we start to act old. And one of the things that a lot of older people do when they retire and when they stop like having a reason to kind of get up in the morning, they stop learning. And I mean, I always compare your brain to a muscle, even though I know it's not a muscle, but if you stop feeding your brain and trying to expand it, it's just going to start shrinking. So if any reason to like expand your life, the quality of your life, and extend your youth as you age, if that makes sense, that's like such a beautiful reason to continue to learn. But in the work environment, I think there's two ways you can look at it. If you are in working a job that you hate and it's the only option you have right now, then use time to learn something that could be a potential new career that you would enjoy more.
Yes.
So, I mean, you can't just expect your life to change if you don't take actionable steps to get there. So if you are working as a personal assistant and you hate every second, and your dream is to become like a digital designer or graphic designer or whatever, do little side courses in that so you can actually start to build your knowledge and your skill set around that. And if you are lucky enough to be in a job that you love, like it should be a no-brainer that you're learning all the time, because you just continuously expanding your wisdom, expanding your skill set, and making yourself better so that you can perform better. And I think
so that you're an asset, baby.
Yes, asset to your life and your business. But also, if you want a promotion, maybe invest in a little course that will give you the skills that will put you above the rest. I mean, there's such easy little things we can do to put ourselves ahead in life that we just don't do, because we just hope next morning we'll wake up and magically have these things gifted
it will fall onto
us.
my lap and it will be done. Consider it done.
So yeah, learning, I think, can really completely change your entire life in all those different aspects, whether you are happy at your job, not happy at your job, wanting to get a promotion, wanting to change even divisions within the company. Like learning is the only way that's really going to get you there. And to be honest, you don't have to go to university anymore. You can do a short course on Udemy for like 230 rand. So there's really is no excuse. Or you can read a book, or you can watch YouTube videos. Like there's so many ways to learn. So there's no excuse not to learn and to up your skill set.
No, you're literally always learning equals growing.
Okay. And then this is a point that I love, is using your break or your lunchtime to its full capacity. And I remember when I was in an office environment, literally eating my lunch at my desk and then just going back to work. If you are given an hour for lunch, take that full hour. I mean, I used to feel guilty if I would leave to go buy lunch and I would rush there, rush back and eat at my desk. You've been given half an hour or an hour, whatever it is. If there's a garden or something at your office block or a patio you can go sit on, like separate yourself from work and really just take that hour that you have to relax, to eat, to take a break, to reset, recalibrate, and go back with like a new sense of humor for the second half of your day. I think it's such a good way to like incorporate self-care into your work day.
And I love that you were speaking about eating your lunch, because yes, you need to use your lunch break, but I also, like Rox said, think it's so important to not eat lunch at your desk. I also used to do the same thing, and there's literally no clear line between your break and working, and your mind needs also to just shut off for, like we were saying, an hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is, whatever lunch break you're allowed. And I promise you, even if you're not allowed an hour lunch break, you're allowed to take 10 minutes and go and grab your lunch, go for a walk around the office if you want to walk and eat, if you want to stand under a tree and eat, if you just want to sit somewhere else in the office where your desk is not in front of your site. That's probably the better option. You need to be able to shut down and recuperate. So like we were saying earlier, you can be the most productive when you return back to work after your break.
And I think especially if you're in like a high stress job or a high stress environment, like it might be triggering to you to actually think about doing this in your work environment, but you can actually completely change your day and maybe even come up with solutions when you separate yourself from the stressful overthinking, I need to get this done, what am I going to do? Just taking 10-15 minutes breather, going back in, you've calmed down the nervous system, you've got a fresh mind, and you'll probably be able to deal with that problem a lot better than if you just continuously stress about it the entire day.
Completely agree. Okay, then our last point when it comes to work is work meaning and satisfaction. So I think this ties in with a lot of the other stuff we were speaking about. But when Rox was talking about whether or not you're happy in your job, you need to know at the end of the day, like, is this work that I'm doing satisfying me? Is this work that I'm doing in line with my purpose in life? Is this work even in line with what I want to do one day? Or do I want to do something else? So we do get also at the end of the day that jobs are very scarce in our country. So no one's saying that go and quit your job today, girl, and then go look for a job next week, because I promise you will be jobless for months. But just make sure that the work that you're doing is fulfilling what you would like to be in this lifetime. Is it the work that you want to do for the rest of your life? If it's not, reassess those situations, and like Rox was saying earlier, maybe do some courses on the side that will allow you to find something else. And no one is telling you that you can't look for another job while you already have a job. I think that's a very big mistake that people make, where you feel like you need to leave a job and then you leave and then you carry on looking once you've left. You can look for other things while you are busy with something else. So just make sure that the work that you do is satisfying to you, and I think your daily and lively goals in general.
I think also, like, it's so old school to have this mindset where like you just get a job to pay the bills and blah blah blah, and it doesn't matter if you're unhappy, la la la, and you can't do something you enjoy, blah blah. There's so many like things that are conditioned in us to keep us small and to keep us working for the system, at risk of sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but there's so much opportunity now in so many ways with technology. There are so many opportunities for you to start your own thing. And I'm not saying everyone must go quit their jobs and start their own thing, but if you are seriously unhappy in your work environment, really start to journal or make a mind map or whatever it is, meditate on it, about the things that bring you joy, about the things that you're passionate about. Like, and I said this to one of my clients the other night, I was like, sometimes the things that trigger you the most are also hints to your purpose. Like if you hate seeing animals abused, maybe it's your purpose to go like get involved with stopping what's happening to animals, you know? So really starting to pay attention to the things that bring you joy, but also trigger the fuck out of you. And then starting to take action steps towards how you can make that a successful business
for you.
And you don't have to quit your job and go off on this whole life-changing experience. You can just put it in half an hour every day or every week, whatever you can afford to dedicate time-wise towards this new goal or this new dream that you have. But yeah, you don't have to quit your job. You can still have the security of this job that pays your bills. But I promise you now, when you start doing something that you are so passionate about, it's very unlikely that you won't be successful.
Yes,
because you are
agreed.
going to put your heart and soul into it. You are going to continue learning. You are going to keep up leveling. You are going to chase this dream with like a bat out of hell, because it's something that excites you. You're going to wake up every day with this burning passion and this burning desire to really just be the best at what you're doing you can be, and that is going to equal success at the end of the day anyway. So don't let people think that you will never be successful and you can't do something that seems so crazy to people. I mean, some of the most successful started businesses that people said will never be able to be a successful business, and look at them now.
Look at me now. I'm getting paper. Look at me now. So guys, that was some topics that can help you, or points that can help you with regard to your self-care in the workplace. And we hope that you do take these into your workplace, because they are very helpful, and it is very helpful for you in your own life to be able to put up those boundaries, to be able to do things for yourself, to be able to take your lunch break, and all the wonderful things we spoke about today. So if there's something specific in this podcast that you thought, wow, that's something I never thought about, let us know.
Please.
We would love to hear from you.
It's so much better than radio silence.
Yeah, we would love to hear from you. So we hope you guys are enjoying the self-care series, and we will speak to you next week.
Love you. Bye.